I was absent, my wife delivered baby girl lagi. You know, this world will be monopolized, conquered by women. My God. And one day off daripada UIA, after that kena make a lot of placement UIA, mengajar lah. Wah, memang banyak kelas, mengajar banyak sangat. So quite, I will inshallah give my best performance, inshallah. And okay, we have discussed many things from Muhammad Al-Ghazali, Khaldun, and then we have to jump back. You realize that we have to jump back all the way to Abu Bakr, then Omar, and then Uthman, and then Ali. We jump all the way back. Alright. And also now Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Alright. Our brother at the end there, Japanese brother, right? You can't understand Malay, right? You can understand Malay.
He prefers Malay.
You prefer Malay? Alhamdulillah.
Sekarang dia sudah masuk Melayu.
Oh my gosh. Tak sah, so belum ada songkok. Sarung. Okay. Okay. Ada lagi, ada orang tak faham bahasa Melayu, angkat tangan. Syakiri. Okay. So today we're going to begin with Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, di mana tak ramai orang yang kenal dia. Sehingga kalau di kalangan orang Melayu, in our society, we have never heard anyone who has called his son Muawiyah. Ada tak? Yang pelik ni Yazid ada. Muawiyah tak pernah. What is the reason? According to one historian, a very famous historian, dulu saya pernah photostat for you. Photostat machine tengah meragam ke belakang, dia orang tengah buat. Ada handout kembali. Is that Mahayuddin Haji Yahya, dalam buku yang dikenal dalam bentuk STPM, Sejarah Islam, dia kata he put forward the idea that sebenarnya tanah Melayu, okay, is actually a Syiah dynasty. Kesultanan Melayu. Jadi for him, he's a very famous historian in Malaysia. He put forward this that it is a Syiah dynasty, a Syiah sultanate, because berdasarkan buku-buku yang dibaca, yang diberi juga askar zaman dulu, ada buku semua ada unsur-unsur Syiah. Sehingga buku, ada satu buku Muhammad Al-Hanafiyah, nama anak Sayyidina Ali pun masuk tajuk buku tu, jelas-jelas. So he was saying that tanah Melayu sebenarnya mereka menggunakan Al-Syafi'i, mazhab Al-Syafi'i sebagai umpan sahaja. Sebenarnya tanah Melayu adalah Syiah. They are not really sincere people. Very rude, very direct. Mahayuddin Haji Yahya, professor in Malay history. Sebenarnya these people, they're using mazhab Al-Syafi'i to promote Shiism in tanah Melayu. And this process actually ditentang oleh kaum muda. Jadi kaum muda ditekan dengan teruknya di tanah Melayu. And as a result, we are now, to what extent now, we actually inherit idea-idea Syiah daripada Kesultanan Melayu ini. To what extent? Sejauh mana kita mewarisi pemikiran Syiah? So, perhaps ada kebenaran yang mungkin memandangkan kita tak ada langsung memanggil anak kita Muawiyah. Saya anak lelaki, saya bagi dia Muawiyah, tapi anak perempuan. You know. Jadi, what they call lah, terpulang pada sesiapa yang insyaAllah Yahya insyaAllah akan datang. InsyaAllah, we look forward, you're gonna get Annie lah. Kalau dapat anak lagi, Muawiyah, Yahya.
Ataupun kita bagi seimbang, Ali Muawiyah.
Ali Muawiyah, Ali Muawiyah, betul Pak Azkin, seimbangan dia. Okay. Now, let me do a little bit of revision. Abu Bakr and Umar and then Uthman and Ali. Okay, let us begin with the idea that di zaman Abu Bakr kan, boleh dikatakan dua period lah. Abu Bakr and Umar, Uthman and Ali. Let's, for the sake of convenience, sudah understanding the development of Muslim history kan, kita pecahkan kepada dua. Okay, Abu Bakr and Umar Al-Khattab, they are friends yang begitu unik sekali. As we already discussed last time. Mengapa unik? Dia orang suka gaduh sama sendiri. Yeah. Why they are best friends? Because they never agree on anything. That's why they are best friends. Okay, very different from our culture. They always begin with disagreement. That is very important point. Very important point if you want to understand the Muslim culture, how they think. Agree to disagree. I've given you also hadis, I've also stated, even Prophet Muhammad SAW pening kepala, memandangkan mereka selalu gaduh. Even in front of Prophet SAW, they gaduh. Sehingga, bila orang katalah, kalau pasal Quran, kita jangan ada gaduh kan. Kalau mengumpulkan Al-Quran, gaduh apa? You know, Omar suggested to Abu Bakar to collect the Quran in one form. You would expect Abu Bakar to agree something good. Right? Again, he disagreed. Okay, they had disagreement. Even on the collection of the Quran, they had disagreement. Bayangkan kalau berkenaan dengan politik, berkenaan dengan ekonomi, berkenaan dengan ketenteraan, lagilah mereka disagreement. You see? And this disagreement bukan saja antara Abu Bakar dan Umar al-Khattab, tetapi antara Ibn Abbas dan Ibn Umar. Okay. Some would say that Ibn Abbas lebih lenient. Kalau Ibn Umar, kalau ambil wuduk pun dia suka masukkan wuduk dalam mata. Wuduk kena ratakan semua sehingga mata pun meratakan. Kalau Ibn Abbas, kalau jari sakit pun, alah, buka puasa lah jari sakit. So sort of, Ibn Abbas yang sort of put forward the idea that, well, muta'ah can be allowed in times of darurah, still valid to some extent. No, to that extent. Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, mereka memang bercanggah dari satu pemikiran. Tapi yes, yet, dia orang macam satu pair. Satu pair, yes?
Siapa Ibnu Abbas, siapa Ibnu Umar?
Okay, very good. Ibn Abbas, if you like, is like what do you call, how can I say? Ibn Umar, you know who lah? He's the son of Umar Khattab, Ibn Umar. Ibn Abbas is like, how can I say? They are cousins. Cousins to each other, if you like. Ibn Abbas was the one who advised Yazid. Yazid is the cousin of Yazid. We will discuss Yazid bin Muawiyah. Yazid bin Muawiyah. We will discuss today how Yazid and Ibn Abbas, not Yazid, Hussein is a cousin of Hussein. He will quarrel with, no, Hussein bin Ali is a cousin of Hussein, to cut it short. Ibn Abbas will quarrel. Not quarrel, he will give a very strong advice to Hussein, is a cousin of Hussein, not to go to Kufa. We will discuss. Yeah? You see how these two cousins, even though they disagree with each other, yet they still respect each other. Ibn Abbas and Hussein bin Ali. Now, what happened is that now, when these people said a sunnah, I would say a sunnah, okay. Sunnah tak sebenarnya sunnah Nabi, a sunnah where they disagree with each other. Okay, this will be the culture throughout the Arab history, throughout the Muslim history, disagreement until the end. Therefore, when Uthman was in trouble, Uthman disagreed with Ali. Ali disagreed with Uthman. They had disagreement with each other. Ali sort of do not disagree with Uthman's policy, who was too lenient with the rebels. In fact, kalau dibandingkan pada sejarah pemilihan Uthman, di mana para syura tanya Uthman, kalau kamu jadi khalifah, apa kamu buat? Mereka nak memilih, nak interview dulu, nak memilih kerja lah kan? Interview dulu. Uthman, kalau kamu jadi khalifah, apa nak buat? Do you follow the policy of what they call? Of lambat sikit otak Rami. Omar and Abu Bakar. So Uthman said, yes. And when they ask Ali, do you follow? No. I follow mengikut my capability. But when the circumstances change, I don't have to follow anymore. But you see, the policy of Omar and Abu Bakar were proven successful. Jadi mereka akan follow policy, prefer to choose someone to follow the policy of Abu Bakar and Omar. This is very normal. So the point here what I'm talking about is that Uthman and Ali, they had also disagreement with each other regarding how to deal with the rebels. Ali lebih kepada slaughter them. You know, Osman, apa, kalau kita lawan dengan mereka, mereka orang Islam, kita pun orang Islam, sama-sama kantoi. You know, that is the whole idea. Even that have a disagreement. Even that, to the extent that Osman dibunuh because dia mempertahankan pendirian dia, no bloodshed. Osman dibunuh, no bloodshed. When Ali became a caliph, dia mengubah haluan. It's time to battle. It's time to battle. Now, when Ali become a caliph, do you think that all companions will agree? Easily agree? Bagi kita zaman sekarang, apabila kita tengok Ali kan, dan Abu Bakar, kita tengok mereka sebagai superhuman being, betul tak? Superman kan? Kalau boleh kita nak terbang kan? Bersama dengan mereka. Tapi ada really Superman at that time? Do people regard them as Superman? Today? At that time? Walaupun mereka dijanjikan syurga, tapi at that time, sahabat is different. The way Muslim think is very different from our time. That's why there was no madhab Abu Bakar, no madhab Umar, no madhab Uthman. Mana ada? Ada? Because at that time, people regarded them as human beings who can make mistakes. And when they make mistake, when they make serious mistake, it's time for us to go against them, even in battle. Which harder to do? Even in battle. That is why when Ali became a Khalifah, siapa berperang dengan dia? Aisyah herself. Mak mereka lawan dengan menantu. Yang masalah mereka di zaman dulu lagi. You are not the only one. My God. Wah, can you imagine? Dua Ahlul Jannah ada niat nak berperang. Ada niat. Sebenarnya mereka tak ada niat sangat. Tapi ketenteraan sudah disiapkan perang. Okey. Apatah lagi para penfitnah itu taruh kani lah, taruh Maggi Mee lah, apa semua taruh cakui tiaw, sedap lagi mereka nak berperang, habis perang. Sehingga mengakibatkan dua companions yang dijanjikan syurga juga dibunuh. Siapa nama dia? Talha and Zubair dibunuh. And this is the problem. Okay. So as a result of this, we see that from the very beginning, they have already set a scenario pada zaman tu disagreement from the very beginning. Semua orang menegakkan pendirian dia, walaupun perang ada sahabat. So kita fikir, bila kita fikir tanah Melayu kita di Malaysia, kita fikir umat bila tengok orang barat gaduh sama sendiri kadang-kadang bertekar sama sendiri, kita orang Islam baik, kita bersyurah. Macam bersyurah? Tengok lagu Raihan semua tawaduk aja tu, jalan pun semua cakap pun apa pendapat adinda kanda. Mana? Padik pohon ambon terima apa? Ya, kita think like that tau. Baik tau, betul. Kita reality at the time, tak ada. Kalau kita di Malaysia, kalau Perdana Menteri ke atau Al-Mursyidul Ahmad membayar satu fatwa, everyone has to follow for the sake of party. Betul tak? Kerana parti UMNO ke parti PAS. Demi parti. Ya, zaman dulu tak ada. Tak ada macam tu. When they disagree, and mereka yakin yang kebenaran mereka, they go out, even in battle. Ahlul Jannah lawan Ahlul Jannah. You nak sopan siapa? Bukan UMNO versus PAS lah. Ahlul Jannah versus Ahlul Jannah. Mana sopan siapa? Dia pun pelik. Apa pasal lah dia orang ni? Apa pasal lah? Tu, you know, it doesn't make sense at all. This is the culture. This is their iman. Sudah ada Protestant. So pas-pasal ada dua set. Ada lagi. Tak boleh Protestant lagi lah. Dua lagi. Oh ada ya, semua kat sana lah. 4 pages kan?
4. Belakang.
Ha?
Depan belakang.
Depan belakang. Oh. Saya pula tak ada kopi lagi. So, let's go. Yeah. You see that this kind of disagreement is already forecast pada Prophet Muhammad SAW. Ini bukan kata-kata seorang ahli sejarawan. Ini kata-kata Nabi sendiri. Memang the nature of the Muslim Brotherhood at that time is disagreement. Masalah disagreement, mereka sama disagreement lewat rendah ke? Atau lewat tinggi? Itu sahaja. And disagreement dalam hadis riwayat Bukhari, we already got it, page 84. Cari-cari page 84. The book of Al-Fitan, Kitab Al-Fitan, la takumu hatta taqtadila fi'atani 'alimatani. Kalau dapat lafaz yang lain, minal muslimin, mereka dikenali sebagai orang-orang muslim, saya Prophet Muhammad SAW. Jadi dia kata akan berlaku dua pasukan yang azimatan, yang azim, yang hebat. Okay? Kalau lafaz lain dia kata mereka sama-sama adalah orang-orang Islam. Okay? The Prophet SAW praise them. Akan berlaku satu masa kelak sebelum hari kiamat, akan datang dua kumpulan di mana takunu bainahuma maqtalatun azimatun, di mana akan ada satu qatl, qatala yaqtulu, ini pembunuhan yang besar bersama mereka sendiri, pembunuhan yang besar bersama mereka sendiri. Okey, tetapi dakwatuhuma wahidah. Apa arti dia? Ya, di mana dakwah mereka adalah satu. Dakwah mereka adalah satu. So at that time, sort of, their propagation is one. One God. Okay, so the hour will not be established till two big groups fight each other, whereupon there will be great number of casualties on both sides, but they will be following only one religious doctrine. In other words, they are at one with each other, not two groups whatsoever. So the Prophet Muhammad has already mentioned from the very beginning that one day, as I've told you, the culture at that time is disagreement. In the time of Abu Bakr and Omar always disagree, Uthman always disagree with they always disagree on all these killings, among the companions. Islam is not such a normal thing. And like what they call Imam Shafi also disagree with his teacher, Imam Malik. Alright, this is normal disagreement. But the question is the different levels of disagreement. And this kind of disagreement at the highest level is already forecast by the Prophet Muhammad, where two groups will kill each other. Yet, their da'wah, their approach is one. In other words, they are good Muslims. Ali, of course, is referred to, you know who, even the names are not mentioned. No. The names are not mentioned, but you know who. Ali versus Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Alright? Ali bin versus Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Muawiyah is the sixth king. So can you imagine that two Muslims are quarreling with each other, battling with each other, and the Prophet labeled them as Muslims, good Muslims. Muslims who will contribute to what they call to the society. Muslims who are far superior than any one of those who come after them. And for Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, there's a hadith also by the Prophet in Hadith Bukhari, awalul jayshin yahzul bahr wa awjabu, there will come, one day there will come a jaysh, an army, who will attack by sea, by ocean. And his first army will definitely go to heaven. Of course, we know the first army is established by Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. So Muawiyah and his soldiers again are promised heaven by the Prophet Muhammad directly in this hadith Bukhari. So two big groups are going to kill each other to that extent. Alright, so we as historians, how we approach this, today our topic is Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. How do we approach this history? Is that we have to consider the hadith. We cannot only follow what our shahwa says, our nafs say, our hawa say, our desire say. We have to follow the hadith. The Prophet is not a prophet only of yesterday. He's a prophet of today. He's a prophet of yesterday. He's a prophet of the future. He sees the future as though I'm looking at you and you're looking at me. You see? You must understand that. So he has a, so today we begin with Muawiyah with a proper perspective that the Prophet has pushed us to regard him as a good Muslim. If any history that says that Muawiyah is a deviant, is a criminal, and there is something wrong with that history. Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan's contribution, mainly to his father Abu Sufyan, who was the strongest enemy against the Prophet Muhammad. Strongest enemy, one of those. But even though Abu Sufyan was the strongest, yet he was a man of culture lah. Dia bukan macam George Bush or whatever. You know, he's someone that uses reason. Yeah. And when did they become Muslims? They become Muslims during the conquest of Mecca. There are many reliable reports. Ibn Kathir also mentioned that Muawiyah actually became a Muslim before the conquest of Mecca. Before the soldiers of Islam entered Mecca, he already became a Muslim. Well before that. Only that he was afraid that his parents were the nobles, the Quraysh nobles. They were afraid that something might happen to them. Particularly the plea of the father not to tell the father. But when he was about to tell his father, Abu Sufyan has become Muslim, there was the conquest. What happened in front of his eyes. And his father also become a Muslim, so case selesai. You know, tak ada masalah, you know. Islam tak ada masalah. Okay. So, when Abu Sufyan became a Muslim, there were so many allegations against Abu Sufyan. One of these is his book. Okay. Where I read to you, starting with Abu Sufyan. Okay. When the army was coming into Mecca, this author says, at this point, Abu Sufyan converted to Islam, and before he was put to death, he testified, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the Prophet of God. Before he was put to death, Ashhadu an la, you know, they want this kind of mentality, you know. Do you think the Prophet is so cruel? When he conquered Mecca, he slaughtered everyone. My God, no. Faced with the threat, or just to emphasize this one, faced with the threat, Abu Sufyan converted and recited the confession of faith. So, they turned to the Prophet, oh Prophet of God, Abu Sufyan is a proud man, would you not grant him some privilege? So they were telling him, Abu Sufyan ni masuk Islam main-main aja. Allah is so damn bloody arrogant, give him some privilege. So the Prophet give him some privilege, and the Prophet answered, yes indeed I will give him privilege, even though it's insincere. He said that, whoever enters the house of Abu Sufyan shall be secure. Barang siapa yang masuk rumah Abu Sufyan, dia akan selamat. Can you look at the start story, you know, what is a very famous one, Haikal, life of Muhammad sallallahu. And it's this whole story, look at it, huh? They will say in front of the Prophet, Abu Sufyan is sincere, only when the sword is in his neck, he confessed he is a Muslim. Okay. And this guy asked the Prophet to give him some privilege. And the Prophet gave him the privilege despite his insincerity. Is it logical or not? Walaupun dia tak ikhlaskan, the Prophet gave him some privilege. Siapa nak selamat, masuk ke rumah Abu Sufyan. Why? You know this guy is insincere. Would you ask your friend to go to his house and stay there? As if you akan selamat dalam rumah dia. Is it logical? There's something wrong with the history. There's something wrong. For instance lah, okay, would you ask Osama bin Laden to go, George Bush masuk Islam, ada threat of pedang ke kepala dia atau pistol ke kepala dia, you masuk rumah George Bush, dia akan selamat. You do that? You're joking, Monica. His story, anyone with a good mind will say, this is nonsense. What a load of crap. No, I don't believe that. So, but you see, they attacked Bani Umayyah. They belongs to Bani Umayyah. Bani Umayyah. Abu Sufyan, Bani Umayyah, and then his son is Muawiyah. These are all Bani Umayyah. The Prophet belongs to Bani Hashim. Abu Bakr belongs to Bani Taim. Different Bani. Not Bani Rabbit, no. And then Omar, Bani Ali. Yeah. But these two Banis are the most glamorous. Bani Hashim and Bani Umayyah. Bani Hashim. Ali belongs to which Bani? Ali Bani Hashim. Bani Hashim. Fatimah? These are all Bani Hashim. But not Muawiyah. But there is one Muawiyah. Do you know that what's the relationship between Muawiyah and Rasulullah? You don't know? Are they relative? There is one daughter of Abu Sufyan. My mind is also not working. I terlalu tired. My wife just gave birth. So I was working, ganti keras banyak. Mine is a bit tapi I'm going to push myself up first. Okay. Siapa nama dia? Ingatkan saya, siapa nama? One daughter of Abu Sufyan, and then nanti dia datang balik, and she is also the daughter of Hindun, who you say that she ate what they call the liver or the heart of what they call Hamza. Okay? Which is not true. No one will do that. Imagine George Bush membunuh Osama bin Laden dan makan jantung dia. These people are the aristocrat lah. Aristocrat. Aristocrat memilih makanan lah. Yeah, come on lah. You don't picture the Arabs as barbaric as we think. They are not as barbaric as we think, unfortunately. No, we are more barbaric than them. Really. So now is that what happened? The daughter of Abu Sufyan and Hindun actually got married to Rasulullah. So they are Muawiyah and what they call? Muawiyah and Muhammad SAW, they were ipar. Yang main tau, ipar tau. In-laws, brother-in-laws. See, they are not what they call, they are not distant relative, very near. If you like, they are part and parcel of the Ahlul Bait also. You see, but we don't think of this matter. We play down the issue. Alright. Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Now what happened is that there was one guy, not only they blame Abu Sufyan, not only they try to distort the story regarding Abu Sufyan, they also distort the story. Anyone that belongs to Bani Umayyah is in trouble. Another caliph that belongs to Bani Umayyah is who? No, before Muawiyah. Anyone who belongs to Bani Umayyah will suffer this slander. Our historians are the best caliph is of course Abu Bakr, Omar, and then Jabal Ali. Uthman, wow, this guy is dangerous. He practices nepotism, cronyism, favoritism, all of tism, just throw it into Uthman, Our textbook, unfortunately, believe them. Even sejarah Islam Hamka also unfortunately believe that. I read it to you last time. Also believe that to that extent. Uthman is weak. You know, someone who defended himself the last minute and said that I will not go to war against the rebels because they are Muslim and I'm Muslim. I go to war against them. My soldiers are Muslims. They also suffer. They also suffer. So come and get me. He preferred to die. Sacrifice himself. Someone like that, man, is so strong. Very strong. He cannot resign. If he resigns, he will set a bad example for the Muslim community that if the minority rebel, you resign. Very bad. So he knows he's going to die. Definitely he knows he's going to be assassinated. Yeah. So Uthman will kena bully by our sejarawan. Of course, when it comes to Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, we bully dia gila-gila. Gila-gila bully, you know. Wow! And the first label we gave Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan is this. Yazid. This is son. Betul tak? Yazid, we see, he only ruled for 3 years and 8 months, something like that. And then this Yazid, what did he do? The famous incident at Karbala. Karbala. Yeah. Karbala, where Hussein was killed in a very cruel manner. His head was severed from his body, was chopped off from his body. Remind us of Uthman. You know, orang pelik tau kita tau. Kita menangis, you know. Orang Syiah hentam-hentak, you know. Wah, what a cruel death, you know that. Kepala keluar, you know. Wah. Tapi there's one more kali pun kepala also gone. Who is it? Uthman. And tak ada orang sedih tau. Tak apalah, itu Uthman. You know, no one talk about Uthman at all. There was one textbook, Asas Fardu Ain, written by the late Sulaiman Al-Jud, which is a textbook. That book is so famous. Wow, in UIA is a textbook over there, used for students. That textbook, you look at tarikh-tarikh yang perlu diingati. The dates you must remember is Karbala. But how about Uthman? If you say Karbala is bad, a tragedy, how about Uthman? He suffered also. Well, we say, well, Uthman sudah tua dah, sejuk, 40 tahun dia mati terus, tak apalah. You know, Hussein still young. You know, you can think like that lah. I mean, yeah, betul. This is a tragedy. How do you define tragedy? We ourselves become tak hati. Our historians tak hati begitu. That's who we are. Prejudice blinds us. Yeah? So Muawiyah kata dia latih anak dia Yazid. Muawiyah, in comparison with other caliphs, Abu Bakr ruled for about 2.5 years, Omar 10 years, Uthman 12 years, something like that, 12, 39, and then Ali 5 years, Muawiyah 20 years. His ruling is what they call, when he ruled, his caliph is regarded as Amul Jama'ah. Amul Jama'ah means the period of unity among Muslims. As I already mentioned to you last time in class, I just repeat a bit, I cannot go through everything. Okay? Where Ali and Muawiyah, Ali period, Muslims will be separated into many groups. Many groups, even within Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they kill among themselves. Ali versus Aisha, Ali versus Talha Zubair, Ali versus Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, and the Khawarij, with many groups, Khawarij, Shia also many groups. Muslims killing among themselves. It was in the time of Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, with the Muslim, to a large extent, they become united. Uthman failed to unite them. Ali failed to unite them. But after Ali, there's one more caliph. Who is it before Muawiyah? He only ruled for 6 months. Hassan. Ali also, he passed the caliph to Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. So we charge Muawiyah as why he nominated his own son to be the caliph. Ini melampau ni. Wah. Macam seolah-olah Perdana Menteri melantik anak dia jadi Perdana Menteri. Wah, ini sistem warisan dinasti tak kena ni. What is your answer? You charge Muawiyah as practicing cronism. You see kan, firstly kita terpengaruh dengan sistem demokrasi. Ya, demokrasi. Kalau tak George Bush jadi presiden, John Kerry pun tak apalah. Because tak ada, what they call, mereka bukan anak dengan bapak kan. Tapi believe me, sama ada John Kerry ke atau George Bush itu hari menang lah, they're gonna slaughter us. Oh, is that democracy? Is it good? Is it good? That is the point. You do not think that democracy, kalau you take off democracy semestinya baik, then we begin a real history in an objective manner. How about if I ask you, kalau kuasa tak boleh dipas pada bapa kepada anak, how about two prophets, father and son, who are they?
Daud and Sulaiman.
Huh? And also Sulaiman.
Sulaiman
And David and Solomon. Yeah, Daud and Solomon, Sulaiman. Yeah. How about that? After King David, King Solomon. How about that? And it's not true. At that time, Muawiyah sudah baca tau. Trend politik pada masa itu tidak boleh guna sistem demokratik. Tak boleh. Demokrasi selalu syura, as we know it. They have to create a new type of syura. New type of syura. Be careful with the word syura that you use. There's so many meanings, syura. Yeah? Tak boleh syura yang lama. Mesti syura yang baru. Why? Give a simple example. The first dynasty was not established by Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, no. Sistem warisan they established by Hassan bin Ali. After Ali, his son, Hassan. Betul tak? Kalau if you want to talk about system warisan, it should be Ali, it should be Hassan. It should be the followers of Ali that put Hassan to replace his father. True or not? It is not Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan started it. Because why? The culture at that time, there's a trend. Situation change. We cannot use the old shura concept. You know why? They use the old shura concept. That is why Ali was slaughtered. Ali cannot unite the Muslims. Remember? Ali was elected based on shura. Right or not? After the death of Uthman, his head was chopped off. So they had a shura and chose Ali. Bukan bergantung pada sistem warisan. Was he successful? Not successful. After 5 years, the Muslims were scattered, killing among themselves after 5 years. So Muawiyah realized that that system doesn't work anymore. And even the followers of Hassan also know that the system doesn't work anymore. That's why they choose Hassan bin Ali to be the caliph. It has to base on system warisan. It has to at that time. Society also changes. That was what Ibn Khaldun actually said in his Muqaddimah, Al-Muqaddimah. It's a very famous sociologist, Ibn Khaldun. So Muawiyah actually saw, and this time, there is only one way to save the Muslim community: system warisan. Alright? Then we will discuss Yazid slowly. So far, any questions? Any disagreement? Okay.
How did the Caliphate of Hassan ended?
The Caliphate of Hassan is a good question. Ended after 6 months. That you see that Hassan was a successor of Ali, and the Prophet was saying that Hassan one day, he said, one day will be able to unite two great Muslim groups. What happened is that Ali failed. Bani Hashim failed. You do not look at one person. For us now, we look at the leader. Do not look at the leader, look at the Bani. Hassan belongs to Bani Hashim. Bani Hashim failed. Okay. The top leaders belongs to Bani Umayyah. That's why during Uthman time, he appointed many Bani Umayyah as his commanders and so on. Because Bani Umayyah, they were very famous from the very beginning. The first soldiers to conquer sea, Mediterranean Sea. The Arabs, you see, they cannot fight on sea now. Omar kata, he's a man, Satan also afraid of him, right? Oh. But you see, he was telling the Muslims, don't fight on sea. Tenggelam dengan bersama dengan unta-unta anda. You know, Adams, dia hanya boleh berlawan dekat Gunung Ganang sana. Desert, sea, don't play. Don't do it. So, but Muawiyah begged Umar kata, please lah. Umar said no. When Umar died, Muawiyah doesn't give up. He appealed to his cousin, Uthman, please lah, give me a chance to do. We can conquer. We can slaughter these Byzantine, these Romans. And he did it. They won. Every battle on sea, they won. The leadership of Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. So you can see that dia macam ni lah. Kalau saya cakap macam tu, you tak rasa. Saya mesti kiaskan dengan zaman sekarang. Mereka kapal terbang first class. Tiba-tiba datang what they call brother Syakirit atau brother Hafiz Firdaus kan, kata, bagi saya pulang. Saya boleh bina satu pasukan. I can build a pasukan of what they call this, what they call it, plane that can slaughter the Americans by air. Do you believe him? Hafiz Firdaus. Oh my God, Syakirin. Impossible. You will not believe. And imagine that your prime minister give them a chance to prove, and they were proven successful. Malaysia defeated America. Cara. Wah, tapi saham mereka naik tak? Wah, they will be idolized Malaysian idol. Ini ada, you must understand. At that time, the Arabic idol became Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. He replaced Khalid ibn Walid. Khalid ibn Walid itu perang atas tanah, When it comes to sea, Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Wow, Wali Umayyah. My God. So Hassan, in his time, his father, he must do something. He must look for a leader, firstly, like Khalid ibn Walid. Secondly, who already proven himself to be successful in defending his own in the Muslim state. Where was Muawiyah? In the time of Omar, in the time of Uthman, in the time of Ali. Where was his domain, his territory? Syria. Syria. Where is Syria? Include Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the holy city for the Christian and the Jews. In the time of Omar, they conquered Jerusalem. Syria. And Muawiyah was put as a governor ke sana. You know this Roman Byzantines kan? You pernah tengok tak cerita Roman Byzantines tu? Anthony and Cleopatra. Dia orang, kalau tak pun, The Gladiator. Mana tak cerita tu? Tengok VCD cetak ropak ya. Tak apalah. And then, you tengok these Romans, they have sophisticated weapons now. Do you think that they will let Muawiyah rule Jerusalem without taking it back? Macam ni lah, kalau George Bush mengambil alih Mekah, do you think that we Muslim will keep quiet? Holy city, man. Jesus Christ was crucified there. Wow! Crucified there, How dare you take our city, our holy city? They came. But Muawiyah managed to defend himself against the Roman Byzantines, Can you imagine that? Dah lah dia kalahkan mereka. Dah lah Hafiz Firdaus kalahkan George Bush. George Bush marah. Serang, tak kalah juga. Dia tak dapat. Bayangkan lah, dia tak respect dia. Wah! Omar 10 tahun dia boleh tahan. Kemudian, what they call Uthman 12 tahun, 13 tahun tak boleh tahan. George Bush tak boleh masuk. 23, 26 years dia bertahan. You imagine that? You respect or not? Macam ni sekarang. Bukan satu kali. So in his mind, there is only one candidate. Can unite. What is Hassan's achievement in comparison with Muawiyah? Don't think, you see, if you have this attitude, if I ask you a question, kalau anak Nek Aziz dengan anak Dr. Mahathir Mohamad berlanggar dalam satu kereta aksiden, I tanya you, mana yang salah? Anak Nek Aziz ke anak Dr. Mahathir? Sabi value. Sabi value. Lepas sekali ya. Dia buat dia betul. Kering ke beka. Awak tengok cara dia beka. Wow, very good, very good. Wow. Wah, nampak sekali. Malaysian Idol dia. Okay, if in your mind, guys, in your mind, kalau so gelap so hilang lah. What was I saying just now? Before that. Hasan. Okay. In your mind, Hasan in comparison with Muawiyah. If in your mind you think that Hasan is more superior than Muawiyah, how? There's something wrong with it. Because you would tend to believe Hasan must be more superior than Muawiyah, Hussein must be more superior. Because what's the reason?
Grandson of the Prophet.
Descendant of the Prophet. If you start to believe that, no wonder we can easily accept the Shia culture. You already one foot into it. You have that in your mind. You have that in your mind. So this is not what you think. This is not at that time. People do not think in this manner. If you think in this manner, you think lah, but they don't think like that. They know. They think differently. They think that, well, descendant of Prophet, who cares? Even the son of Noah, son Lut also, go to hell there. So what to say? So don't think in this manner. Think in a different manner. Okay, let's look at their achievement and see Hassan and Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. Who is greater? Who has proven themselves? Muawiyah, objectively. So, Hassan is very wise, a man of wisdom and intelligence. He passed it to Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. And also the moment when he passed it to Muawiyah, Hassan actually unite two groups. The Shias were supporting Hassan. Betul tak? Oh, Hassan killed Bani Umayyah. Bani Hashim fight against Bani Umayyah sebenarnya. Kill them. And Hassan said, no, I am the one who wants him to be a caliph. So if you are Shia, how will you feel? Mati akal. You know, our leader said, our imam said, I am the one who gave the caliphate to Muawiyah, to Bani Umayyah. I'm the one. So Shia, yeah. At least Hassan unite two big groups. The followers of Ali and the followers of Muawiyah. Because before that, Ali was fighting against Muawiyah. Right or not? Now Hassan unite the followers of Ali, the soldiers of Ali, with the soldiers of Muawiyah. No harm, no more. If you disobey me, you disobey the Imam of the Shias. Oh, Ayatollah. You know, so they have to obey. Have to, whether they like it or not. They have to. Yeah, this is how. It's a very wise move, very, very intelligent move. If he continues, kan, Muawiyah follows to continue the war. No end. So now the enemy only left one. Shia, no problem with Al-Sunnah wa Jama'ah for 20 years. But the enemy now only left one. Khawarij. So in Muawiyah's time, he has more problems with Khawarij than with the Shias. Now Khawarij are people, if I mention, is it so strange that when we talk about Muslims at the time, right? You start to wonder, where are the non-Muslims now? As though they do not exist. As though they are not a threat. As though these Persians already gone, finished. Although the Byzantines, the Romans, not a threat. Chinese lagi lah, not a threat. China, they kept quiet already. Ottoman diamkan mereka, hantar tentera, give it mouth shut. Indian gone. Romans gone, keep quiet. What happened? Just to see, we were superpower at that time. Superpower. No? We already call. But our enemies unfortunately ignore ourselves. Even though kita gabung sama sendiri pun, we are still strong enough to defend ourselves against these people. So what happened is that Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan is caliphate was so strong, so solid. What happened during his time? During Ali's time, Ali didn't have a chance to actually send troops against the non-Muslims. Susah. Internal problem. Hassan lagi lah, 6 months only. Muawiyah, he was able to unite the Muslims. Muslims will become so strong to the extent that Muawiyah sent a famous expedition. And the Prophet says that awalul jaishi yasul Constantinia. Dia kata, this will be maghfurun lahu. These people is forgiven by Allah SWT. The first is hadith riwayat Muslimah. The first Muslim army to attack Constantinople. Allah has forgiven them. Despite of what they have done, they say, Allah has forgiven them. These are good Muslims. And the first people, the first group to fight against Constantinople, who is the Amir? You'll be surprised. Yazid bin Muawiyah. It happened in the time of Muawiyah. He sent a troop, Abu Ayyub Ansari. Now, what is significant of Constantinople? Kan Roman ni mula-mula pusat mereka Jerusalem. Dah lah Jerusalem kena ambil, mereka kembali pada Constantinople. That is their last stronghold. Last. Muawiyah was looking at them. Okay, I send my son there. Yazid bin Muawiyah. Why he sent his son? This means that his son Yazid is actually an excellent commander. You don't send any Tom, Dick and Harry and Rajab, to attack Constantinople. Would you send what they call anyone here, Brother Firdaus guy, to attack Washington? No. You send someone who is excellent, and you trust your son so much. And not only that, Abdullah ibn Abbas also follow him, Abdullah ibn Omar also follow him, Hussein also follow under the command of these people, of Yazid. Yazid, therefore, is an excellent commander. You must bear in mind that. Excellent commander. So, he sent Yazid there, but they lost the war. But, even though they lost, doesn't mean that they lost everything. They could have won for some reason if they continue the expedition, but they didn't know. Okay, they were not as greedy as we think. And so, but Abu Ayyub Ansari was killed there. Constantinople was conquered in the 14th century, something like that, by Muhammad al-Fatih. Okay. But the first one who did that was Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, and his son, sent his son as a commander. So, his son, bukan calon-calon orang, Yazid, the Prophet already predicted, whoever that attack first Constantinople, his sins will be forgiven. You see? So, he's a commander. Whatever history that you write about Yazid, you mustn't humiliate Yazid bin Muawiyah. If any historian humiliate Yazid bin Muawiyah, it's going to be their problem in explaining this hadith Muslim. The Prophet already say that his sins are forgiven. So here, what happened now is that Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, his age are known as Amrul Jama'ah, and in that age, Muslims become united, they become very, very strong, but their enemies are Khawarij. Now these Khawarij are people who are very, very religious. Do not think these Khawarij as people who are not religious at all, who are secular, who are liberal. Tak ada. They are so religious that anyone who commit big sins, you drink wine, you will be regarded as a kafir straight away. Kafir. So then, we believe that if you commit big sins, you're still a Muslim. But they do not believe that. Straight away you're a kafir. There are people that are highly religious, very strict in Islam, very, very honest in business. These are the people of the Khawarij. Muawiyah is dealing with these people. Can you imagine that the pressure? Muslims is fighting against these religious, very religious individuals now. Can you see the pressure that they are facing? Okay, I want to show you something. Unfortunately, hanya tinggal, how many copies do you have? 4 pages here.
Ada konteks ini.
Oh ya. Konteks saya ini